Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the Seyvum Brushless Oscillating tool. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description on Amazon, and if you use that link, it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So if we look on the side here, we have some specs. The voltage is DC 20 volts, battery is lithium ion 2 amp hour, speed is 0 to 8,000 and 0 to 20,500 oscillations per minute. The swing angle is 4%. Let's get this open. Here we have a manual. Let's take a quick look at it. So we have safety guidelines. You want to read through all of these. Here we have a product diagram. Has an accessory holder, quick release lever, on-off switch, rear handle, battery with power display, LED light, variable speed dial, auxiliary handle, rib, and locking rod. Here we have the specs again. This talks about the speed settings. So it has 6 speeds, and these are the oscillations per minute for each of those speeds. This talks about the different blades that come with it. This should be compatible with other brands of blades also. This side talks about the sandpaper that attaches to the sanding backing pad. This talks about swapping out the accessory. This has an auxiliary handle, so this allows you to hold it with 2 hands, so that can help prevent fatigue. This talks about the battery and charging, and more cautions, and looks like some troubleshooting, maintenance. Okay, so this comes with a storage bag. It's kind of a triangle shaped bag. And here's the tool. So we have a quick release chuck here. So this is metal here. This is plastic. This is a rubberized grip. This is where the battery goes. So that will slide in here, like so. And we have an on-off switch. And we have speed control. So I'll pull that battery off. So it comes with a battery charger. Output on this is 21.5 volts at 1 amps. So that plugs directly into the battery here. I'll get that charging. And this does have a power meter on it. It looks like it may be fully charged, or at least close. Here's the accessory handle. So if you're doing a lot of work and you get fatigued, you can screw this handle in here to give you a second place to hold it. So that's really nice. Let's look at the accessories. So it looks like it comes with quite a few. Here we have a circular cutting blade. It's great for plunge cuts. We have a number of sanding pads. We have 2 120, 280, and 260. This is a scraping blade. So if you're scraping adhesive off something like a floor, you could use that. Here's the sanding pad. And it has a hook and loop fastener. This is a grit wheel. So this is probably like a carbide type grit. So these are great for clearing out grout or cutting tile or cutting other hard surfaces. Here's more sandpaper. Here's a straight cutting blade for wood and plastic. That's 34 millimeter. Here's a 20 millimeter, and this is another 34. So this is a little bit different profile. So let's find one here. I like this one. So to install this, I'll take this and I'll flip it forward all the way. So when I do that, this will open up here. Then we can put this on. Now you can index this in different positions. So depending on what you're cutting, you can put it at a 90-degree angle. Oftentimes I'll put these at an angle like that. So if you're getting into an area, that can give you more clearance. Of course, you can just put it straight ahead also. So I'll line that up and then I'll close this and lock that in. Now you can also unscrew this. So if you have a different brand of blade that is enclosed all the way around that doesn't have a slot in it, you can do that. It looks like our battery is charged. So I'll plug that in and now we can use this. So I just wanted to show it on my bench here, but now let's head to my shop where I can demonstrate this. Okay, I'm here in my shop now. I've clamped a piece of wood to one of my workbenches. We'll open this up. I'll put a blade in. Let's start with this one. So I do have the accessory handle on here. I'm going to turn this up to, let's do speed 5, and I'll draw a couple lines here to cut. So here we have across the grain and with the grain. So let's test this out. Okay, so that powered through that. So it looks pretty straight. You know, this is a freehand cut and this is just kind of a scrap board. The cut has a little bit of roughness to it. Now this is not a finished tool that's made to give glass smooth cuts, but I'd say that's a pretty good cut for this type of saw. Let's clamp that back down again. Pull the battery off. I should have pulled it off before when I was switching it. So I'll pull the lever open, pull the blade out. Now the blade could be hot, so I'll be careful there. And I'll install the sanding pad. Okay, start out with the 60 grit. Now when you're cutting or moving around, you want to make sure you change the angle. Like when I was cutting this, I was moving it around like this. That helps remove those chips that it's cutting out of there. And with sanding, you want to move it around to get even wear on the pad and also to clear that dust out of there. Battery back in. We'll try sanding with this. Okay, now that's a little rough because this is 60 grit. Let's switch to the 80. But I was able to shape that corner a little bit. Okay, that's a little smoother there. And then we'll finish off with this 120. So there we go. So that's sanded to 120. It feels nice. Now depending on what I'm doing, if I was painting it, I might stop here. If I was finishing it with polyurethane, I might sand to 220. I might actually stop at 120, depends. Now a sander like this is probably best used in concert with other sanders. So say you have a large cabinet, you might sand it with a large random orbit sander, and then you can use this sander to get into the corner areas and such. So typically I'll use a sander like this to get into the details, and I'll use a larger sander to do the large surfaces. So let's take the sanding pad off. Now I'll install this blade. This is a circular blade. Here I have a piece of thin plywood. So here let's draw out a box. Need my longer square here. So this would be similar to an electrical box hole you'd cut in a wall. Now this isn't the exact dimensions, but it gives you an idea. So I'll be using the circular blade, and actually what I'm going to do is angle this differently. Maybe about like that. Now this would work well on drywall. If you have plaster, I like using those grip blades. Those seem to work fairly well. But if you do have some old plaster walls, you'd probably want to test it in an inconspicuous area to see how well it works. So I'll cut this now. So this is a little big to get into these corners, so I'll just swap this out. I'll switch back to the straight one here. So there we go. I guess I wasn't paying attention, but this is actually an MDF core, so it's not a great material to cut through. Sheetrock would be way easier to cut through than this stuff. Even thicker wood is easier to cut through than this MDF. So that's the Seyvum Brushless Oscillating Tool. I think oscillating tools like this are really handy for doing certain types of work. They can be good for cutting holes in walls. These are really good for cutting trim, so if you're putting in, say, laminate flooring and you need to cut your trim, you can put a scrap piece of laminate flooring down and just butt your saw blade up to that and cut your trim at the exact height. Makes quick work of it. These also work great as detail sanders, so you can put that sanding head on there and you can get into sharp corners with it. And then it also has that grip blade. Those can be used for cutting hard materials or cleaning out grout and things like that. Now this oscillating tool has some nice features. It has toolless blade changing, so you just flip this back, you can get the blade out. You can also unscrew this so you can fit on different types of blades. And then it has an auxiliary handle too to give you a little bit more purchase on there when you're cutting through things. And since it has a brushless motor, it's going to give you longer run time than a brushed motor. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.